Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I bring you guys awesome interviews, and today is an honor to have another local band from Kentucky on the show. I have Mr. Cody Meek and Rob Needles of Outhouse Etiquette. They have a new album that's out right now called If That's What It Takes. I'm going to be talking to these folks about their new album and what's up and what's going on. So guys, how's it going?
It didn't take very much, actually.
It's going pretty well. We're, sitting here on a nice stormy Saturday afternoon. She said we're living a life.
Living it like rock stars.
It's something like that. Actually, nothing like that.
Well, it's good to have you on the show. But guys, what's impressed you the most about making the album, If That's What It Takes? What caught your guys' eye the most about this album when it was being processed?
Well, we've all got pretty previous experience in the recording and the music industry. The three out of the four of us have been in bands for eons now. And so, we've kind of seen and done everything. But just I'd say probably the coolest part about this record was I think this was like the first time that we all recorded an album, not only together, but having done it just in the kind of DIY tradition. Having a guy come in with a laptop and a bunch of mics, and we recorded the original musical tracks at my brother's trailer in Westmoreland, Tennessee. So the environment was there. That was pretty cool. The other cool part about it was being able to have a bunch of our really good friends and local musicians come in and guest star on it.
You mentioned that this is recorded in a trailer, and this is kind of odd, but it's actually pretty cool. How was the sound in doing this in the trailer? Was it a lot better than, say, like anywhere else? Let's talk about that a little bit.
The acoustics were still there. It wasn't, I don't know if it was any different at all. The walls are thin, but we're in the middle of nowhere, so that didn't matter.
Yeah. And plus, it just added a lot to the vibe,
Mainly the fact that we could get, I paid this guy a little extra to make him drive about an hour and a half out of his way to record us twice. So in about 2 days, we got all the raw tracks done, and then we kept going to his apartment and adding tracks here and there. Yeah, we overproduced the fuck out of it. That was our goal from day one. That's my favorite thing about it, is we truly had no limits as far as how far we want to go with it, and we did things that we could never pull off live.
Right.
And there's some things we could do live. For example, we had organ on a lot of songs or piano on a lot of songs, and that was one of our friends that plays another local band, Cindy. And the great thing about that was that, I don't know, I've always wanted to do that. I guess that's what I like about it. And I also loved, like he said, that we was able to get so many people involved with our recording. And, I try to get a spot in every song to get somebody in. Just about every song, not every one of them.
Right.
We had everything from, like he said, organs and pianos to saxophones, harmonicas. We even got a damn didgeridoo on the record. Yeah. And we just kind of made it a free-for-all for a bunch of our friends to come in and just, add their 2 cents to this record.
And there was a lot of people we didn't get, but it just didn't work out. And it's one of the things, these were people that were all pretty relevant at the time. Most of them are all in bands that play currently.
Who helped produce this album? Did you guys do it, or who actually helped? Was Roy Willis the guy who helped that produced this, or no?
Yeah, he recorded it and he mixed it and mastered it and all that. We would sit there and watch him and we directed every click of the mouse that he did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had very little say over it, but he did do all the clicking.
We did have a belt around his neck for most of the recording process. That's why he did such a good job. I'm being a jackass. He did a good job because he's good at his job.
Yeah, he's about to move to Colorado out here too. So he's doing what all the hip kids are doing nowadays. Move to Colorado.
Smoking them marijuanas.
Any songs off the album that stand out more to you guys than any, if possible?
Yeah, all the ones I wrote.
Goddamn, Cody. One of my favorite tracks is Kittyland Love Center. Which, if anybody out there listening is a Trailer Park Boys fan, they're going to know where that comes from. I really like that track because it was one of the first tracks that we really came together as an entire band and did. The origin of this band goes back a long ways. And, I had songs, Cody had songs, but that was one of the first ones that we came together as a band and conceptualized and made and brought it all together. Plus, it's this odd amalgamation of like slinky, sexy rock and roll at the beginning of it, and then the end of it's this huge left turn into heavy metal territory. It's a good time song.
It is a good time song. But another thing about that song is, we're all metal guys, all four of us.
Yes.
And we would probably play metal, and if we lived in an area that would allow it. We're about 30 minutes from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and all the bars down there don't let you play. Well, there was one bar, they went out of business, but the main bar down there does not like metal. They don't. They actually hate it, and the crowd hates it. And so, at some point, Rob figured out, well, we got to do something else. And of course, he was the founder of the band, him and the new guy, and they wanted to play metal, I believe.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work out. So you had to find another style of music that you liked,
right,
and play it. So now we can play the bars in Bowling Green, most of them. Now there was a bar, Turntables, that I think they went out of business.
Right.
But they did let metal bands and extreme metal bands play there, and with good crowds.
Yeah, we're making a point to sneak in some metal every chance we get.
And we love stoner rock. We love not just thrash metal and extreme metal. We love stoner rock and
sludge rock, stuff like that.
It's like Crowbar,
Yeah.
Band, yeah.
Weed Eater.
Weed Eater, yeah. There you go. What do you hope people take away from this album once they start to listen to it, man? What do you hope that they get from it, from you guys?
I want them to really analyze it and hear all the goddamn vocal harmonies I put down on it.
And that is true. He did do a lot of vocal harmonies. I did a few. Now, usually in every song, just about every song, we tried. That was something that Rob was really into, and he really emphasized when I joined the band, is vocal harmonies, which I was into it too, but I hadn't been into it very long. Crosby, Stills, and Nash type vocal harmonies, because we both love that band, and not just because they did it, but a lot of people did it. A lot of the '70s, great '70s bands, '80s bands did that, and in our kind of music, a lot of bands, most people around here anyway, don't do that. They have the singer, and that's it. The singer may play guitar.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of vocal harmonies going on. And I really think that's one thing that we have or we try to incorporate as much as possible. That helps us stand out a little bit, other than just being different than all the other bands around here.
Yeah, definitely are that. We stick out like a sore thumb.
What can fans expect at a show from Outhouse Etiquette once they get to see you guys?
We are a live band at heart. That is, as much as we like the recording process and laying down our ideas on permanent record, we are a live band. And our live shows are extremely high energy. There's a lot of this band, as much as music, is also humor. We are very tongue-in-cheek, pretty vulgar at times. If you come to an Outhouse show and you don't have super-duper delicate sensibilities and you have your big girl panties on, you're going to laugh your ass off. You're going to have a good time, and you're going to see a bunch of jackasses on stage throwing it down as hard as they can.
I mean, especially if you got a video out of you guys wrestling in the video.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a bit high-budget video.
Yeah. Cost our entire beer budget for that week.
They even got a freaking title belt in the thing.
Yeah, that was the Ric Flair title belt. He was on loan that day.
Right.
Woo! Woo! How much local support do you guys get from radio stations, if any, and local support from the fans that like you guys, and plus the venues down there?
There's 2 stations here that are rock stations, and they set aside time for local bands. And there's so many bands they may not get. Obviously they can't get to all the bands in every show per se, but they try to stay relevant. Who's playing this week, promote that band. Whatever, or that few bands that are playing that week. So we may get a spin. We'll get a spin this Sunday night on one of the shows on one of the stations here that Bratcher, our friend Bratcher, does, because we're playing this coming Friday night, and he's already promoted. He's going to play us. So, and talk about promote a show. They're just hour-long shows. And then the other station does a little daily segment, like 15 minutes or 30 minutes every day.
Uh-huh.
And where they just call it, it's DNA3's Home Cooking, Tommy Starr, and he tries to get a different band in there, or if you don't have a band, he'll spin some stuff that's some bands that are playing that week. So it's better than, honestly, it's better than it ever was. I used to work in radio, and I hosted a local show 15 some odd years ago, and it was once a week, but it was 3 hours. And I felt like that was awesome, but it was probably too much, just to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it was Sunday night at 9 o'clock, so it was late. A lot of people are in the bed. And nowadays these shows, one of them's during the day, the other one's 7 o'clock Sunday night. So I feel like it's a little more mainstream now, a little more accessible. And even sometimes they'll play some of these mainstream, the more active rock sounding rock bands. They'll play them on the regular rotation sometimes, especially on the one of the active rock stations, and even the classic rock station, D93.
Mm-hmm.
The other station is 98.3 The Edge, in case Bratcher needs a plug. As far as the bar scene, there's one bar to play in Bowling Green. I don't mind saying it because it's kind of ridiculous, but there's only one bar to play in Bowling Green that supports local music from that. Okay, not just local music, but original local music.
Right.
Bands play their own material. It's called Tid Balls, and there have been other bars come and go that have done it. And we play there, or I've been in other bands. He's been in other bands that we've played these places, and they just don't seem to last. Tid Balls has been there since I think 2001, and it's got a loyal fan base. It's your typical kind of dive bar type scene, but not dive bar in a negative way. It's just kind of that's what the style, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, it's all the best things about a dive bar. The bar staff knows who you are when you come in. They they know what you like to drink. You go in there, and you could be going there to see bands, or you could be going there to just hang out and talk to your friends who are going to be there, and there might be a kick-ass band on stage.
It's very understood that you're going to see a live music show every night. So that's one great thing about it. They're prideful of that, and I commend them for it.
Yeah, exactly. They're if it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't have a steady place to play in this area.
No, not at all. We'd have to go to Louisville or Nashville.
Yeah. And there is a bar that Cody mentioned that we're playing next Friday night. We're playing, this is our first time at this place called Q Times, and it's a billiards bar, and they're starting to have local music playing out there. So, hopefully, we're trying to get everybody to come out to that show, and hopefully they'll be able to continue to support local music as well, because the venues are limited. And they're not just limited by number, but they're also limited by genre. You have certain bars that only want to play, cover bands, or they only want to have, honky tonk bands or that kind of thing. And especially for a band like us, like I mentioned, we stick out like a sore thumb. We're none of those shits. It's Tid Balls is our mecca.
That's like how it is around here. Bands around here have to drive at least an hour, 2 hours away just to play a show, a local show.
A lot of bands are like us are doing that at a loss.
Mm-hmm.
We might make enough money for food and gas, and we might not. But the love of just getting on stage and ripping shit all to pieces, that kind of trumps the little bit of monetary loss.
Guys, how important is it to keep rock/metal alive in Kentucky? Because I know a lot of places it's just primarily country or gospel, but how important is it to keep it alive around here?
Well, I think that it is always important because that's what we like. It's not going anywhere. Although where we live, it's not, like I said earlier, it's not really a scene for hard rock or metal or extreme metal. And there's plenty of kids, and I say kids, we're not really kids anymore, but we still like the same stuff we did when we were kids, and that was what we played. We were both in metal bands before, and we never, in those bands, we had limited, basically we had to play out of town a lot more, with Louisville and Nashville.
Right.
We might be able to play Bowling Green once every 3 months if we were lucky. It wasn't because there was people there that like metal. They just don't get out to the bars, and the bars don't support that kind of thing. There was always, it'd have to be an all ages show, or somebody has to rent the Catholic Center or the Knights of Columbus Hall or something like that. It never was a bar going to host that kind of music. Sometimes, but hardly ever. As far as in Kentucky, I can't speak for the whole state, but in Bowling Green, people are into the very pop rock. So, I mean, the rock scene's there. It's just not really what we're doing. We fit in somehow or another. I guess because we've been around so long.
That's a big part of it.
But we've played with bands that are clearly, mismatched. We played with a band the other night, nice guys, but we shouldn't have played with them. I'm just to be honest with you. They were a pop rock band, and their crowd did not care for us one bit, and our crowd probably didn't care for them one bit.
Right. Yeah.
Not that we don't like these people, and it's not that there's not a lack of appreciation. It's just as far as show business is concerned, you're not going to pair two bands that are not alike. You're not going to put a country artist with a heavy metal artist.
Right.
And like you said, I don't think that's the band's choice at all. I think if left to our own devices, I know personally, I'd love to play with bands that are different than us just to get our music into some different ears that may not normally go seeking it. But it's crowd based. As far as metal in Kentucky goes, I think metal is one of the very few, largely, not completely, but largely uncompromised musical art forms at this point. You don't have a whole lot of, I guess, outside influence. A lot of metal bands, even the ones on bigger metal labels, are not told specifically how they're supposed to look, how they're supposed to act, what they're supposed to be saying. They're kind of given free reign, and I think that's really important. I was having a discussion with somebody the other day talking about I'm big into conspiracy shits, and was talking about how it seems like the popular music scene, whether it be in country or pop rock, hip hop, whichever one you want to point at, it seems to be getting dumbed down. And rock and roll and metal continues to be marginalized by popular society, although it's gaining more notoriety. But it seems like the powers that be are trying to kind of suppress rock and roll. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine, and basically we came to kind of the same conclusion that, nobody ever started a riot listening to fucking Americana.
Yeah.
Yeah, Seeger back in the day picking a banjo, and that was as hard as a guy, but nobody knew what a Marshall sounded like at that point.
Right.
Nobody gets revolutionary listening to Americana. Nobody gets revolutionary listening to stupid pop lyrics or dumbed down hip hop lyrics. If you had if you could get a resurgence of hip hop like back in the day, like Tribe Called Quest, stuff like that, something that had some intelligence and some message, it might be a difference. But that kind of stuff's being, I think, intentionally suppressed. But I've gone way off the tracks there and gotten into reptilian Alex Jones territory.
Some Bigfoot conspiracies that we're looking at here.
Hey, man, I hear Bigfoot plays the shit out of a bass.
I think it's Zach Wild. Maybe. I don't know.
It kind of looks like you've known it. Zach Wild, the shaved big feet. Goddamn Sam Squanch.
What does Outhouse Etiquette bring to the table for music guys that's not out there as of right now?
We are very original, man. And it's an odd form of original in that we borrow a lot. We take a lot of influence from many, many different genres, whether it be traditional country or punk or metal or blues. We take all these different influences and we smash them up and do our own thing with it. And one of my favorite things about this band is because we have all these different influences and humor is such a part of it, we don't have any constraints as a band. There's nothing stylistically telling us that we should do this or we shouldn't do that. We just do whatever the fuck we want to do and whatever sounds good, and it usually turns out all right.
This is for both of you guys. What made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you that said, that's what I want to do? Well, yeah, of course for that, but yeah.
Cody, you want to handle that one first?
I don't. Yeah, I'll go. First, when I wanted to be a rock and roll guy, probably I was 6 or 7. My sister came to the house every other weekend, and she watched MTV pretty much all day long until Daddy got off work. And Guns N' Roses, that I saw them, and not just them, all the bands, but Guns N' Roses looked like rock and roll. That was what it was supposed to look like. This would have been 87 or 88, that time period. And, I liked it. I liked the rock music. And as I got older, I realized I liked it even more than I thought I did. And then, of course, when I started playing guitar, then I realized, well, it's just something I want to do. At least try to do it. At least try to create. Maybe if I didn't make it, at least I would create. Some great rock and roll music.
Yeah, the creation part of it is definitely an element. I think for pretty much anyone that is artistically creative in any way, you got to vent that shit, or else it constipates your brain. For me, I grew up with music. My mom is a fantastic vocalist. My dad is a multi-instrumentalist. There was always music in the house going on. Primarily for my mom, 50s soul, doo-wop, that kind of thing. And then my dad was a huge Beatles fan. A lot of the 60s psychedelic influence that I have comes from him. And I got into my first live performing band when I was about 15. And it was just, at that point, it was just wanting to get together with guys and play music. I'd been sitting in one room playing with myself, learning these songs that other people were playing. And then I finally had an opportunity to go and interact with other musicians and have that whole creative force come together. And that's some powerful shit. But the thing that really sealed the deal for me was the first time I got on stage. From then on, dude, it was just curtains. I knew at that point, from that adrenaline rush and just the way that felt, that was always going to be a part of my life.
I just like to say, as a fan of your guys' music, thank you guys for what you're doing. And how can people stay in touch with you guys, buy some merchandise, find out when you guys are going to be playing, and things like that, guys? How can they do that?
Well, we got Facebook, facebook.com/Outhouse Etiquette. We do have a, what's the site that has the audio? You can upload audio to it.
SoundCloud?
Yeah, we got a
No.
Not Bandcamp.
Reverb Nation? Is it Reverb Nation?
Reverb Nation, yeah. I've got an account there for us that has some songs. Yeah, it's linked up to the site. Somewhere or another on our Facebook, it's linked up. If you want to sample, there's 4 songs you can listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And, Facebook's the best way. I mean, nobody needs a website nowadays. It's kind of a shame because Facebook has taken over that, and
I'd say,
which is fine. I mean, it works out for us.
Facebook's probably the best way to contact us and keep up with what we're doing. One element of this band that we haven't really discussed yet, and Cody mentioned that he's into videography, is we have a YouTube channel, and we have, I don't know, probably, let's say a handful of videos, because I don't know the exact number, where we just kind of spoof different genres of
the real life events.
Shows. Yeah. Like
these things really happen.
Intervention, or behind the music, those kind of things. And like I mentioned earlier, humor is a big part of this band. And if you go to our YouTube channel,
just type in Outhouse Etiquette on YouTube and search for the Outhouse Etiquette channel or profile and add it to your favorites.
Yeah. You get all those live action videos that we've shot. Plus, we've got a lot of live footage up there that we've shot. I also have to mention Vintage Queen 54, Kathy Pippin, and Wayne Titsworth have come out to a bunch of our shows and filmed some stuff, and they are super duper important to this local music scene as far as getting live shows documented.
They cover a lot of the rockabilly and psychobilly type scene.
Right. They come out with a good video setup and get it recorded, get it down for digital history.
I also want to mention real quick, we got 2 other members of the band, the fucking new guy and Doc Chapman, and they weren't able to be here today. They have work and prior commitments, and we forgot to tell them about it.
Before I let you guys go, will you care to do a promo for the show?
Yeah, we'll do it, yeah.
This is Cody.
And this is Rob Needles.
This is the BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. Thanks, guys.
Hey, man. Appreciate it. It was a good time.